Give everyone a few minutes to get into the room. Let me give it just a few more minutes. It's 12:03 my time. Hi, everyone. I want to say thank you for everyone that registered and that did come to the webinar today. But we are experiencing some technical difficulties right now with our webinar guest, Melanie, and unfortunately, she is not able to attend today. We've tried a few times. So, with that being said, I do want to say thank you for everyone that did log in for the webinar today, but we are going to have to reschedule, and we will let you know as soon as that rescheduled date is established. You will receive an email. So just be on the lookout for that email. Again, thank you for taking time to come in here. But the email has been, or the email, but the webinar. Actually, hold on one second. Uh, Hold on one second. Um, our guest speaker is here. I think she got through, so no more technical difficulties. If you could just bear with us just for a few moments, she'll be able to log in just a little bit. Oh, there she is. Hi,
Hello.
Melanie.
Hi there.
How are you today? Thank you
I'm
so much. Excited to
good. How
have
are
you on.
you? Thank you
I'm
for waiting
doing,
for me. I don't know what's going on. My camera is really dark, so I've been trying to troubleshoot that, but here we are, however it is.
hey, all good. No, I have some of those difficulties as well. So you're all good.
Amazing.
Um,
It's so weird if you do Zoom or if you do the webinar jam or if you do Google Meets, it's always different. So,
mhm.
um, yeah. Well, I'm glad to be here.
Yes, we are so excited that you're here and excited to start today's webinar, The Power of Post-Purchase Emails, Turning Happy Customers into Loyal Fans. I mean, I know I can relate to this as a consumer as well, especially after, it's something like, especially like a retail purchase, and they send an email and it's like, hey, we might think that you would like this next. Or when Netflix sends you those emails and it's like, hey, you watch this, you might like this next. I'm like, know me. And it's like, it's probably computer generated, but I'm like, even though it is, it makes me feel just a little bit special. I feel like a little bit of a VIP or something. So I'm excited about this webinar today. And also this little part as well, learn how to maximize customer retention. I think that's super important when we think about our customers today, especially in 2023. Everyone's like, oh, I'm looking for new customers. I'm looking for this. I'm looking for that. And sometimes I think we forget to retain our current customers that we do have. And they're so important to our lifeline as a business. And I love this, build a community beyond revenue. That's so important. I think that as entrepreneurs, as businesses, as brands, we look at our audience, we're like, oh, I want to promote to this specific people, or I want to do this, this, and that. And we kind of just see numbers and we're like, oh, I want to see this transaction go through. And in fact, we're leaving that big community behind. And so excited that you're here. So excited about this topic. A few things, everyone, if you want to put them in the chat box, let us know who you are, what is your job, where you're from, And what do you want to learn about email marketing from today's webinar? So if you can put that on the chat box, I'm going to mute for just a few moments and give you some time to answer that in the chat box. Don't be shy. I already put my example in there. Marketing manager, webinar host from Austin, Texas. Again, excited to be in this webinar room today. And oh, I love that, Vicki. Yes. So today's agenda, okay, Nick, is going to be as follows. Why your post-purchase flow is the most often overlooked flow. Excited about this one. What is the gold mine that lies in customer retention? And last but not least, how to go beyond increasing revenue with this flow and start building a community. And today we have Melanie Balk. She is the CEO and founder of the Email Marketers, your outsourced email marketing team for e-commerce brands and more. Now, she started her career in Germany in traditional marketing consulting for brands in automotive, healthcare, telecommunications space. And those are not easy spaces to break into and break through the noise. So yes, I'm excited about this. And also thank you, Melanie. And of course, my name is Jeffrey, webinar host at Selzy. Excited to be here with you all today. And again, we're excited about this webinar. I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to turn it over to Melanie. Excited to have her here with us today. Melanie?
Amazing. It's my turn to go. Awesome. Well, hello, everyone. Again, sorry my camera is so dark. I will troubleshoot that one day and figure it out. But the slides are more important than me. So welcome to the post-purchase flow, actionable ways that drive revenue after the purchase. Everything that Jeffrey said is totally correct about why this is important. I want to give you guys a little bit of an example that might relate more. So I think many times when we're in the space, let's say, for example, in the e-com space, we perceive getting the first purchase as getting married to the customer or as, like our job is done. When in reality, I think if we look at the dating metaphor, the way it would look like is you see an ad from a customer. That's kind of like seeing a Bumble profile or a Hinge profile. You decide, okay, I'm going to click on this ad. That's somewhat like swiping right or opening the profile a little bit more and then swiping right. You're like, you know what? I am really interested in this person. Let's have a conversation. So you open the conversation, you have a conversation. It's kind of like subscribing to the first emails. You want to know more, like you're intrigued. And then the first date is like the first purchase. A lot of people, I think, mistakenly think the first purchase is like the relationship or the marriage, but the first purchase really is actually the first date. It's the first time we're giving this brand the opportunity to wow us and see if the product is actually the way they say. We're trying to figure out if we're being catfished by the product. That's really the first date. That's where most people end it, right? They really focus heavily on the welcome flow, the abandoned cart flow, the browse abandonment flow. And then once the first purchase happens, they send an email, thank you for purchasing, and that's it. But in today's landscape, especially, it is really important that we focus on what happens after the first purchase. How do we get them to a second purchase? That's like a relationship. How do we get them to marriage? That's like them subscribing to our product. How do we have kids with them? That's like them referring customers to us, right? So this is how I look at it from the dating metaphor. Let's talk about today's landscape. So I'm sure you guys have heard this one. It's 5 times more expensive to acquire a new customer than to convert an existing one. I've heard like 8 times, 9 times. I feel like people are changing the number, but it is definitely more expensive, especially in today's landscape where we see things like Facebook ads have become so expensive and so competitive. If we don't manage to really extract the maximum value from each customer, it's going to be a difficult uphill battle for company success. I see a lot of brands now where the first purchase is actually a loss. So like they're selling a $20 t-shirt and they're acquiring their first customer at $25. Why would they do that? Why would they, spend more money to sell a product? Well, because they're banking on the repeat purchases. And for good reason, because repeat customers spend about 300% more than new customers. Repeat customers refer about 50% more potential buyers than one-time buyers. And increasing customer retention, and this is by far my favorite statistic, increasing customer retention by just 5% leads to an average profitability increase of 75%. It's very hard to believe that statistic, but it is actually true. And if you do the math, you'll find that it is true. Customer retention is like the secret magic formula to an increase in revenue and profitability that people seem to be ignoring for whatever reason. It's like the most obvious thing that people are ignoring. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about how can email help you. Sorry, this was just a notes slide. How can email help you create more customer retention? And so the first thing is the order confirmation email that I want to talk about. So this is your first opportunity to delight your customers, right? They just ordered the product for you. And the dating analogy, they just decided to go on a date with you. And really, if you think about it, they decided to give a stranger on the internet money, right? So their uncertainty is at a maximum high. I gave them my money. I don't have the product yet. I don't know when it's going to come. I don't know if it's going to be good. I don't even know if I just fell for a scam. So your job is to reduce that uncertainty, because uncertainty is the number one emotion that humans don't like. If you think about it, the devil we know is better than the devil we don't know. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this email as a way to affirm their decision. We want them to feel like they made the right decision even before the product gets there. So this is your opportunity to really make them feel good, spice things up with really good copy, tell them a personal story, appeal to them emotionally. And this is also a really good moment to offer them deals to increase the average order value. I love what Dollar Shave Club does. They send you an email and they go, you want to toss more products in, and then you can actually click and it increases the average order value. Logistically, that can be a nightmare. So it's not always super easy to do. But in terms of, increasing average order value, that's a really good moment just because they just purchased from you. So they're still hot, right? This is the best opportunity to make them buy more, which is why at grocery stores, you see a bunch of products at the checkout lane, right? Because you just bought a bunch of stuff. You're still hot. This is a perfect moment to make you buy more. And then SoHi does a really good example of like sending a really good copy focused email that makes people feel good about being part of this community and buying this product. And it's more than just buying a product, right? So think about your order confirmation number one as the opportunity to delight your customers, reaffirm their decision, similarly as you would when you go on a first date, how you would be excited, how you would be on time, how you would pick a nice place and not just any dump. So that's really the same equivalent. Here's a couple more examples. So Crate and Barrel, they kind of do a combination where they're like, add more stuff in. Or the next one, I actually think this was by, I can't see the logo anymore. I think this was by The Hustle. They did a really good job of this like copy only emotional email where they were like, yeah, we just saw you ordered and everyone broke out into a dance party and Tom brought the champagne even though it's only 11 a.m. So really using fun copy to make you feel good about the brand you're joining. Okay, let's talk about the next part. So people have ordered, you've, reduced uncertainty, you've made them feel good about their decision, they feel like they're a part of your community. Now we want to make sure that we stay as communicative across the process until they get their product. Because again, any moment where the customer goes, I wonder what happened to my order, I wonder where my product is not a good moment for us because, like I said, we want to reduce uncertainty. So how can we do this? Actually, I'm going to switch my camera for you guys. I might have a better solution to this. Can you guys tell it's not been leaving me alone? Oh, there we go. It's much better. Okay. It just wouldn't, every time I saw myself so dark, it was driving me crazy. So what's your role with email after someone purchases? Make them feel good about the purchase until they get the product. This includes, like I said, the order confirmation email, but also reducing uncertainty till the product arrives. Put in the chat box if you've ever ordered a product and then you forgot about it, and then like a week and you were like, what happened to that thing I ordered? Where is that? Was that a good experience for you? I don't think it was, because then you had to go into your email, then you had to check where the product is. So staying in touch with your customers throughout this product, throughout the sale, increases their satisfaction, makes them feel like they're buying from a good brand, and reduces this factor of uncertainty and stress, right? That moment where you're like, where's this product? That's a moment of micro stress. That's not a good customer experience. So the delivery notifications are a really good example of this. Send this if, once your product leaves the warehouse, so people know it's coming their way. This also increases excitement. So now people are getting excited, like, wow, my product's coming. They're getting ready. Send this if your product is delayed, right? So transparency trumps speed. 98% of customers say they would want a notification if a package is held up, compared to 79% of customers who say that free 2-day shipping was important to their purchase decision. So if your package is delayed and you're communicative about it, it's not as bad as it's even better than having really fast shipping, right? Because it's all about reducing uncertainty. So send them these milestone emails. Hey, your package shipped. Hey, your package is arriving today. Hey, your package has arrived. That your package has arrived is especially important nowadays, where people are stealing packages left and right. It's just a really good way to ensure your customer knows the package is there before it can get stolen. Because most of the time, if it does get stolen, even if the post office or UPS or whoever covers that, you still have to go through the logistical nightmare of actually making sure that gets fulfilled again. So using email as part of, mitigating other risk in your business is very, very important. And this is one of those ways. And then make it fun. Build excitement with the copy, right? Send them an email that goes, our elves have just packed your package and put it on the reindeer sled and it's coming your way. Obviously, only if it fits your brand. But the more fun you make it, the more you can make it branded, make people feel like they're part of a fun, cool brand, the better. In the dating analogy, to me, this is something like telling your date, hey, I'm going to be 5 minutes late. Or, hey, I'm here sitting at this and this table, right? Being communicative is always better than when you walk in, you don't know where they're sitting, or you're sitting there waiting, that you don't know that they're late. This is kind of the same analogy. And the last thing I'll say here is, for a subscription business, this is a really great way to minimize returns. How many times have you guys been subscribed to something and forgotten you were subscribed, and then it showed up at your doorstep and you're like, I do not need this? Yeah, me too. I do this all the time, Jeffrey. So then you have two options as a customer. You send it back, or you're like, whatever, I deal with it and I'll keep it. But likely what you'll do is you'll go and you'll cancel the subscription. It's much better if you send an email as the company. You're like, hey, this is going to come your way. Do you want to pause this shipment? So that instead of them coming back and canceling, or them actually getting the product and returning, they really get to just pause this, and it's a better experience, right? Than just this product showing up and you're like, oh, what am I going to do with this product? So that's a note on that. Let's talk about a second order confirmation email. So this is often when you notice you get an email, the first order and the second order are often the same. But should they be, right? If you purchase the first time what's from someone, or you purchase the second time, is that the same experience? Are you the same customer? No, you're not. In the dating analogy, the first date's not the same as the second. You wouldn't go to a first date and you would say, hey, my name's Tom. Tell me about yourself, right? You've already built rapport. You've already built a relationship. So that's why it's really important to treat the second order confirmation differently than the first order confirmation. So here you'll see like Abercrombie and Fitch goes, hey, we're honored. We're honored. Jesus Christ. We're honored. We're honored that when it comes to style, you think of us. Thank you for buying from us again, right? It really means a lot to us that you didn't just purchase once, but you came back and you purchased again. So think about these order confirmation emails throughout the whole customer life cycle. And I'm not just talking about the second purchase. I'm talking about the third, fourth, and fifth purchase. Because what's really cool here is at every stage, you can actually incentivize different behaviors. For example, Twitter once found that, if users followed like X people, they would become an active user. For Facebook, it was like if users have like 16 friends, they become an active Facebook user, right? So in the email example, I want you guys to think about how many purchases do we have to incentivize till we know this person becomes a loyal customer, and how can we push them through those stages via email? So for example, the first email could be like, hey, thank you for ordering. We're so honored you're part of the crowd. Second one can be like, thank you. Now you're kind of like, we ordered again. This is really important to us. Here's a discount for your next order. And then the next email can be like, hey, why don't you come back and subscribe? And if you subscribe now, there's a special gift waiting for you in the next order. So using each order confirmation as a way to push people to the next purchase stage. This is also a really great opportunity to talk about referrals, to get user-generated content, and like I said before, to push subscriptions. So the more people buy from you, the more asks you can actually make and you would want to make, because we can assume that they're happier customers, right? Asking from a referral from someone who's purchased once or a testimonial from someone who's purchased once is a much riskier game than asking from someone who's purchased 2 or 3 times, who they've got to be happy with their product, they're coming back. So yeah, think about that order confirmation email throughout the entire stage of the life cycle, and how can you use it to incentivize getting people to that loyalty stage, subscription, or whatever it may be. This is an example, just so you guys see, we build a lot of stuff in Klaviyo. We also obviously use Celsi, but this was a cool example because you can actually see how each stage goes step by step into it. And it's just a diagram that we built to kind of like visualize our stuff. So you'll see like each of these stages is a different number of purchases. So you'll see a couple of fun order confirmations here, right? You just made our day. Your next shipment is ready for delivery. This actually is very similar to an order confirmation, but I just wanted to show you guys how people are using it to say like, hey, it includes a surprise. So this was not an order confirmation, but this was an example of like how you can get people after a second or third order to buy again using an incentive, like, hey, there's a surprise in your next order. It can be a free product. It can be a flyer with a discount code. It can be whatever. Or the third one here is like, hey, what's the password? These are some emails we made. These are older emails. We revamped them all. They look much better nowadays. But you don't need a password to get in here. Get others in with your referral link, things like that. So really cool ways to do that. Okay, the next part is forget about offers. Offers have their place, but I think use email to allow people to find their tribe. It's really hard for brands when they've done a lot of promotions to get away from that. So I always say like, hey, don't turn your brand into a promotional brand. Don't dilute the brand value. Don't send discount. It's funny, like email marketers are like Jekyll and Hyde. Like we hate receiving spam, but we love sending it. And yeah, because we see the dollars roll in, but in reality, it's short-term gain. Because what we want to do with emails, we want to build a long-term community. We want to build long-term brand value. So I want you to use emails to make customers feel like they're part of the community. In the dating analogy, it's not really about how much money they have or what car they drive or all those things. It's more about whether they have the same values as you, right? Whether you get along with this person in your day-to-day. I'm sure a lot of people, marry for money and cars and whatever, but I think the foundation of a really good long-term marriage, I'm sure we can all agree, is shared values and getting along and being, matching personalities. I mean, someone can be super rich or even super handsome and pretty, but if you guys don't vibe, it's going to be a very, very tough marriage. It's going to be very difficult. So it's the same thing with email, right? More than anything, what people want as humans, we're natural herd animals. We're just wired that way. We are social beings, if you want to get down to the biology of it. And you'll see like people, what do we find out about people who do really horrendous shit, like mass shootings, excuse my language, that one slipped out. Like mass shootings is we find out they're loners, right? They're loners. They had no friends. Or if you guys have ever watched a show called Alone, people who go out into like the wilderness and they have to survive there. Like they have to build shelter in snow, freezing cold. They have to hunt food. They have to find water to drink. They have to fight against grizzly bears. It's a really interesting show. But the number one thing, and all those things people struggle with, is the fact that they're alone. The solitude is what makes most people tap out of this challenge. Not the grizzly bears, not the not having food, not the being freezing cold, but the fact that they miss their family, which is crazy, right? Because as humans, we are wired to be social beings. So more than anything, people want to connect. They want to feel like they are part of something bigger. If you want to talk about that in a really negative way, that's what made, Nazi Germany really powerful, was people wanted to feel like they were part of something bigger. Now, you can do this in a positive way. You can use this to make people feel like part of a community, of a brand. And there's many ways you can do this, right? The first email, you can introduce the faces of your community. Like, talk about the other people that are part of your brand. Tell their life stories. Make people connect with other people. The reason we buy, for example, and I watched the Michael Jordan movie yesterday about Nike. It was very good. Highly recommend. But the reason people bought the Air Jordan is because they wanted to feel like Michael Jordan, be like Michael Jordan. So you don't have to have Michael Jordan. You can have members of your community that are inspirational, right? Coco Kind did this in a different way. During COVID, they did an all stakes email. So all stakeholder email, actually, which is, they were talking about what's going on in the entire business. Hey, this is what's happening in fulfillment. This is how COVID's affecting us. This is what's going on with our employees. That made you feel close to this brand. That made you feel like you're part of the brand. That's another really good way to do it. Founder letters, super good way to do it, for the founder to send a heartfelt letter and share their personality, right? We also buy brands because of the founders, is also another really good way. And then, a really cool thing you can do with this too, and how you can have email build community outside of email, is by pushing people to other mediums. So use email to push people to a Facebook group and build a Facebook group. Use email to actually push people to Facebook, to your ads, and have them comment on your ads. That will help your ads perform better because of the engagement. So there's a lot of opportunity how you can do that. Okay, the how-to email. Now, this is my favorite email, and it's so often overlooked. After people purchase, what happens often is that, we send them the order confirmation email. We maybe even send them a shipping delivery, and then we send them, hey, your order's been delivered, and then nothing. The best way to make sure that your product is a success, especially after the first purchase, is by guiding customers on how to use it. Right? Especially like here, this is matcha and coffee. We want to tell people how to best use this product so that they are successful, so that they have a good experience with our product, right? You want to make it, super simple and so straightforward that even for like the simplest person, it'll still be super easy to be successful with your product. Because guess what? Even if someone, excuse my language, is too stupid to use your product, that's going to be your problem, because they're going to be unhappy with your product, right? And you want them to be happy with your product. So make it as easy as possible for them. This is best to send at the time of the arrival of the product. I would tell them, hey, this is how you use the product. This is how you should store the product. And by the way, here's a reminder of the benefits of the product. Let's say if it's matcha, like, here's how you want to store it. Here's how you can make the best matcha. Here's some recipes. And by the way, don't forget, here are the benefits of matcha. Why do we want to tell them the benefits? We want to reinforce them building a habit. From the moment they purchase to the moment they get the product, time has elapsed. We are forgetful humans. Let's remind them, this is why you want to drink this every day. This is why you want to consume this. This helps build a ritual. This helps build a habit. This helps people be happy with the outcome of your product, and that will create repeat purchases. So especially helpful, by the way, if your product requires setup, right? Like we worked with a dash cam company, and it's super easy, but I'm not a technical person. And I had a hard time like figuring out how to set up the dash cam. And then we made an email for them. And we were like, hey, here's 3 simple steps on how you set up this dash cam. Because that, even if the dash cam is amazing, the setup process is part of the customer experience. Let's make it as easy as possible. So for food, also cool to add recipes, like I said. For supplements, really cool to help them build a routine. So tell them like, hey, after dinner, take 2 supplements, drink a glass of water, and these are the benefits you're going to experience. Again, remind them of benefits. For skincare, you can tell them like, hey, here's your skincare, here's your self-care day routine. Here's your self-care day instructions, things like that. So really cool way to do this. In the dating analogy, it's show them how you like it. Show them how to best make you happy. That would be the analogy. But it's actually, we're trying to best make them happy with the product. Okay, here's a couple of examples. My favorite one, the first one's Seedwell. That's one that we made. This was all about, how to actually store it, how to use it, what to keep in mind by taking it with other supplements. I love this Nike email because this one was all about how to properly squat, which, this was, you could click it and it would break it down. Prima is kind of like the self-care routine, the wind down, telling you how to use the product. And then this one, the last one, is from George Stone Crab. They sell stone crabs, which is a special kind of crab. They send you, it's fresh. And this was telling you how to best crack the shell and how to best, store the crabs until you eat them, crack the shell, and enjoy them. Okay, the give us feedback. So this is also often underutilized. Email is not just a tool for making purchases and creating community. Email is also a tool for customer communication, right? This I find is often the most overlooked part because email is a really great way after you tell them how you like it and how they should be using your product to ask them how they like it. You want to get feedback and you want to build social proof. So often what people do is they get feedback and they use it for testimonials. But I want you to go beyond that, not just use stuff for testimonials. I want you to use stuff as feedback. Like if someone's purchased once and they haven't come back, go and ask them why. Why did you purchase once and why did you never come back? That's not a testimonial you want to use, but that's customer insights you want to use to feed the entire operations of your business, to feed marketing in terms of who's a good target customer and why people don't buy again, and to feed product development because maybe it's something with the product. In terms of testimonials, think about when you target people for testimonials. Like I said, second-time purchasers always a better bet. Same for user-generated content and things like that. Someone's purchased multiple times, they're more likely to give you a positive testimonial. They're more likely to give you a referral. And like I said, one-time purchasers who don't come back, great source of feedback. And by the way, so are people who subscribe. They're also a great source of feedback because you have both sides of the spectrum. People who ended up not purchasing, you can do that as well, by the way. If someone adds to their cart and they don't end up purchasing, you can send them a customer interview as well. People who've purchased once and don't come back, and people who are subscribers, who are your hardcore loyal customers. Send them these interviews and figure out what's the key difference in these customers. The cross-sell. In the dating analogy, this is like introducing them to your parents. This analogy is a little shaky, I will say, but the purpose of this is just if you have multiple products, a really great way to increase the average order value of customers, really great way to increase customer lifetime value, and just easily make more money is by selling them other products that would be a good fit for them. So if they've bought a razor from you, sell your shave gel and aftershave moisturizer. If they've bought Peloton, think about selling them a Peloton for their family. It's a really great way to just increase the sales you make from one customer. And I think the way to think about it is like, how can you utilize the data you have from your customer to your advantage? So if someone's buying green pants, take all the customers who bought green pants and maybe sell them, I don't know, what goes well with green pants? I picked the bad color, but let's say this would be fun. Like we find people who have green pants love yellow shirts, send them an email about yellow shirts. Although I find that color combination a little bit questionable, but just for the sake of the example. What do you do if you have, lower SKUs? You can go and look at the data and say like, hey, we found out that everyone who buys cookies also usually loves brownies. Let's send everyone who only bought cookies and hasn't bought brownies yet a brownie email. Send people who have purchased cookies 3 times, like those are your hardcore cookie lovers. Really say like, hey, we really think you would like brownies. Maybe even think about giving them a free gift of brownie in their next purchase, just so they can get a taste and get hooked on your other product as well. Or give them a special bundle offer, right? Buy cookies and brownies today for 50% off or something like that. And I also think you can gamify this stuff in a really fun way. So, you could make an email that says like, hey, roll the dice and see which products the shoe gods chose for you next. They bought a pair of shoes from you. Gamification and the natural curiosity we have as humans make it really easy to make people click even if they're not interested in shoes. So don't even show them the shoe. Just say like, hey, the shoe gods picked the shoe for you. Click the button to see which one it is. Roll the dice. Make it fun. People will click. Now you got them to the product page. You got them a step closer to the actual purchase. And then, yeah, like I said, for one-time purchase products like a Peloton, usually people don't need more than one Peloton at home. Think about them gifting it to their friends and family. Use that as a good opportunity to increase the purchase rate. The subscription email, this one is short and sweet. I just had to, I had to mention it. If people are buying a lot of products for you, push them to subscribe. So if someone's been dating you for a while, at one point you might want to consider marrying them. You don't have to. There's no pressure. But, it kind of makes the whole thing a little bit more, makes it harder to get out of it, right? Just like marriage makes it harder to get out of the relationship, subscription makes it harder to get out of them actually using your product. Now, I made marriage sound really terrible. That was not my intention, but you guys get the joke and where I'm going. But really just, if someone's been purchasing from you multiple times, these are your VIP customers, and your only goal should be to make their lives and purchasing from you easier. And subscriptions is a really easy way to do that. Give them benefits for becoming subscribers, right? Why should they subscribe from you? Why should they go through the fear of, oh my God, what happens if I forget to cancel this subscription? Well, give them perks, give them better deals on shipping, give them automatic entry into giveaways, give them priority customer support, give them access to a private subscribers Facebook group. Whatever perks you can give them to incentivize becoming a subscriber will make it much easier for you to forecast recurring revenue, will make it much more likely that they will stick with you, and will make their purchase life easier, which is a better experience for your VIP customers. Okay, the anniversary and birthday email, right? Do not miss your significant other's birthday. Use every opportunity to celebrate them. Anniversary, birthday. This is the same thing. You want to send emails that celebrate milestones because it builds a bond with your customer. Think about the Spotify. It sounds like what's his name? From Dr. Evil, Goldmember. You guys will not find that. Spotify. Think about Spotify's 2016 Wrapped email, right? That thing was such a viral marketing sensation, and an intern came up with that. But think about how bonded it makes you feel to Spotify, how interested you are in seeing your own data, right? Send these milestone celebrations because they make people feel bonded, right? Like Google goes, hey, thank you for being with us for a year. And you go, oh, wow, I've been with them for a year. That's right. You feel closer to them. You feel more like you've invested more time. You're kind of more likely to stay. And like I said, like with Spotify, if you can share data about the customers, even better, because people always want to know things about themselves. This is the only reason BuzzFeed is so successful, right? People want to know, what type of pizza topping would I be? Where should I move based on my favorite soft drink? People are interested even in as silly information as that. And like I said, Spotify Wrapped is a really good example of that. For birthdays, I love sending happy birthday emails. Makes you feel good. People feel like they're getting something. People feel, appreciated and valued by you. Really great way. Another cool test could be to send an email a day, 1 or 2 later that goes, oh, I'm so sorry we missed your birthday, but here's 20% off as an apology. Why would you do that? Well, because birthdays, people get a bunch of emails and they get lost in the crowd. So sending them 2 or 3 days later is a really cool way to actually stand out. Okay, then let's test a new thing email. So like I said, let's say you have a new idea. Who's the first person you tell about your new idea? Hey, I want to quit my job, or hey, I want to start a business, or hey, I'm going to launch a new product. Often it's your significant other, right, that you first tell about this to get feedback on stuff. Hey, how do you like this outfit? Use your customers in the same way. Your most loyal cohort should be your cohort for testing new product launches, new product developments, for getting feedback, for getting insights, for testing new ads. This is your most loyal customer base. If it doesn't work with them, it's not going to work with most people. Of course, unless you're targeting a different persona or things like that. So here, Parachute sent an email and said, hey, as one of our nearest and dearest, we want to let you know that we're trying something new. We're trying SMS. This is what we're going to try with SMS. Come and subscribe to SMS. So this was a great way for them to get feedback on whether this actually worked or not. So I think that's a really, really great example as well. Cool. That was it for me. Yeah, let me know about your questions. I'm going to turn it back to Jeffrey and tell you about Sellsy, which is an amazing platform. Actually, one of my favorite brands uses you guys. So yeah, I'm gonna let you go.
No, yes, everyone. I know some of your questions have been moved from the chat to the Q&A, so please put your questions in the Q&A as we're going to be diving into those in just a little bit with Melanie. But really quick, Melanie, I do want to call out like the last example you used from Parachute. I'm a huge fan of their emails. And the reason why I say this is, and they're super, I think, thoughtful and they think ahead of time, is because I've never seen a company do this. They always do this on like Mother's Day and Father's Day. They're like, hey, if you want to be removed from our list, just this one, let us know. I think they really do think about the masses and don't just think about like pushing a product like you were saying. They think about building a community as well. And so I think that gives them a chance to not only respect that person, whether they've lost a parent or something's happened in the past, but it also gives them a chance to still be included in their email. So it's not like they have to resubscribe. And I think that's like really spot on of what you've been talking about throughout this webinar, building that community, not being a salesperson. Because when I open my email, that's like the first thing I feel like I see is like percentage off this, do that. And I'm like, no, close it. So you made a lot of great points and a lot of great things. If I was running a business, I would definitely send a birthday message like a day or two later. Like, that's amazing. I'm going to now like start looking just for those versus the ones that come on my birthday. But as we're still preparing for those questions, I know we already have a few in the Q&A. Sellsy, honestly, because to me, it's really a no-brainer. Sellsy is a great platform. It's a great way to get your feet wet, and it's also free to sign up. So it's a very easy way to get involved with email. It's a very good way to test it out. And like I said, it's a very good way to just get your feet wet. And when I think of that now, I think of like doing a cold plunge after the gym now. I don't know if anyone's tried that yet, to immerse themselves in cold water about a good solid to 2-3 minutes. I wouldn't suggest like doing it cold turkey. But like we're saying with Sellsy, get your feet wet, try out some email tactics, some great ways to build up that email list as well. And it just really helps you optimize your campaigns. Like Melanie was saying, you don't want to just send out emails to send out emails. I hate getting those, but you also want to make sure you're getting you're sending out quality emails as well. What's going to help push them through that flow? Thinking really about your customers and not just putting that extra dollar in your pocket. That could be an unsubscribe from your email list. And that's like no word of mouth passed around about your business because you decided to send too many promotional emails. So make sure that you're optimizing your email campaigns and also make sure that you're avoiding those junk boxes as well. Sometimes I look and I'm like, how did this email end up here? This is like an important email. So always make sure. And a great thing about automations as well. You definitely want to make sure you're using those, whether that's going to be for something personal, something in a group. It's a great way to make sure that you're taking a little bit of pressure off your back and making it a little bit easier as a business owner, as a brand, as an entrepreneur. Just going to take a little bit of stress off of you. And easy integrations that you can use with Shopify, Salesforce, Send, and HubSpot. And links in the contact number. And I really do love this. When we're talking about Sellsy, Sellsy is just one of those brands of like when you think about it, you're like, oh, I have to make sure that I do like this in a certain amount of time. But it really is a great way to get your email started off because you can start out with a free program that gives you up to I think 15,000 emails, and I think up to 1,000 contacts. And I think the most expensive is like a $220 plan. So really looking at this and making sure you're getting the most out of your email plan for people that are just getting started, and also want to make sure they're just getting their feet wet as well. And just gives you a great way to analyze your campaign too, from unsubscribe, bounce rate, click rate, all those amazing things. And now, without further ado, we have about 13 minutes left within the webinar. I do want to get to some of these amazing questions as well. And okay, dang, Melanie, you've already jumped in here.
I
was
know,
like,
I've been
who?
answering in writing. I thought I was supposed to answer in writing. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I was like, she's already jumping ahead. So we've already answered Miranda's. I'm gonna delete that one.
I can
And
run through them
then
really quickly and maybe just ask
you're
some
not wrong.
questions out too. Should I?
You're not. Let me go to, so we have a question from Alan. How can I create clear and effective calls to action in post-purchase emails? Any tips?
I think it's just with any other type of email. It just depends on your goal. What is your goal with that email? Is it for people to come back and purchase again, buy now, shop now are still like some of the best CTAs out there. I know it's boring, but it is. Clear CTAs, just like any other CTA, one CTA, one goal. And by one CTA, I mean like one call to action. You can have multiple buttons, but you want one call to action in one email. You want to make it clear. You want to make it stand out. So I think that's really important. And again, for post-purchase emails, and it just really depends on what your goal is, right? If your goal is to get feedback, then, give them a survey and say, give feedback as a CTA. So it totally depends on your goal, but I would say the standard best practices for CTAs that apply across regular emails also apply to post-purchase emails. Oh, you're muted.
Question. Oh, sorry. I was like, oh, I realized it right after. I was like, sorry. I was like, oh no. We have question from Dartisha as well. Would this be a segment to also offer people to join the loyalty program? Also, will you craft the how-to email flows for each product purchased?
Yeah, totally. I mean, definitely your purchasers are the best people for the loyalty program. Even after just the first purchase, pushing them that way is a really good idea. And then in terms of the how-to email, yeah, the more personalized the emails, the better. So if someone buys, what's a good example? Like, say you're a tea company and someone buys tea from you, but you also have matcha and you also have coffee, send them the tea email. Don't send them the coffee email. And having everything in one email is a possibility, but it does make it feel less personalized. So it just totally depends. I always think the more personalized, the better. So that would be my suggestion.
And I accidentally deleted the other one from Miranda because that's one of the ones that you had answered. So my apologies on
No
that
worries.
one.
I think Miranda's question was the metrics to track. So what metrics I would track in the post-purchase emails, again, depends on the goal. If it's purchases, then I'm tracking purchases. If it's engagement, like clicks, then I'm tracking that. But sometimes we'll send a plain text email that has no CTA and nothing, and then maybe we'll ask for a reply back, and then we'll track reply backs. But I think sometimes we're so obsessed with tracking metrics. Every now and then, once in a while, an email that's just there to add value, that we don't really want people to take any type of action, even if that means we can't track anything besides deliverability, doesn't hurt either.
Chat box. More questions. Okay. I personally do have a question
Yes.
as we're going through this webinar. So let's say you are trying to promote a webinar, for instance, like we're here today. What would be some of your strategies that you would suggest on as far as like email? Like how many times would you email? Would you email more than once? How would you promote that webinar?
Totally. I would definitely email more than once. I would, if you have a segment of people that come to your webinars a lot, that's a really good segment to hit multiple times with emails. They're interested. If you have a segment that never attends webinars, you can email those people a little bit less. But I would still email more than once. I would say, hey, we have this webinar coming up, sign up here. I would send a reminder email like the webinar is tomorrow, make sure you're here. And then I would send an email, the webinar is starting now, join us. And then I would send an email after with the recording. Hey, sorry we missed you at the webinar. Here's a recording of the webinar. I would also, a really good way to do this in a more high value way is to send emails that release bits and pieces of high value information. So let's say you have a webinar and you want people to come. Well, tease them with a little bit of what's going to happen in that webinar, right? Give them a little bit of a lesson from that webinar, and then they'll want more, and then they'll actually come to the webinar. So I think that's another really good way to do it.
Okay. Yes, I love that. Thank you. And again, if you have any questions for Melanie, please put them in the chat box or the Q&A box as well.
Awesome.
Maybe like a few more minutes. But again, just want to say a huge thank you. I know I picked up a lot of tips and tricks, so thank you so much, Melanie, for everything today on behalf of Sellsy and everyone here. We really do thank you, so we appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Thank you for bearing with my 1 or 2 technical difficulties as well.
Oh my God. It happens. I feel like if something like that doesn't happen, it's like, was it even really like a webinar or an event if something technical didn't happen? So
Yep.
I think as we all have, dealt with that, we just roll with the punches.
Amazing.
And,
Well, thank you so much.
yes. And Julia just asked Melanie, do you have a website?
Yes, I do. We're called www.theemailmarketers.com. So very, very easy to remember. Where should I put it? Here, I'll put it in the chat box. Thank you, Julia. Awesome.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you for your time. And like I said, technical difficulties, they happen every day.
Oh, thank you
But
guys.
again, yes. Yes, I know. We need to definitely have you back. And again, thank you all for attending the webinar today. Thank you all. We appreciate it. And we will see you all here next time, same place. Have a great one, everyone, and have a great week.